In previous class, we discussed a rule related to indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns. We came to know when an indefinite pronoun is used as a subject of a sentence, we take a singular verb. I told you at that very time, there is an exception to this rule. Let's try to find out that very exception. It's rule number 4. The following words may be singular or plural, depending upon their use in a sentence. The following words may be singular or plural depending upon their use in a sentence. For example, the words are most, all, some, any, none. These are also indefinite pronouns, but when they are used in a sentence, when a sentence starts with such kind of words, most, all, some, any, none, we can't decide by their usage only whether to use a singular or a plural verb. Rather, we need to find out the words, the noun with which it is associated, and as per that we can decide whether to use a singular or a plural verb. For example, most of the news is fake. One more example, most of the flowers were yellow. My dear students, I penned down two different examples related to the same rule so as to highlight the exception of the rule 3rd we read in the previous class. As I told you, whenever any sentence begins with such words, such indefinite pronouns like most, all, some, any, none, we cannot decide by their usage only whether to use singular or plural verb, but the noun with which it is associated. As suppose we have in a very first sentence, most of the news. Most is associated, we can say associated with news. But before I tell you, we can say before I explain the rule further, let me tell you, whenever there comes an uncountable noun, whenever there comes an uncountable noun, it always takes a singular verb, not plural. So news is singular. As I told you, most is associated with the noun news. In that case, we take singular verb. The second example is most of the flowers were yellow. Here, the most is associated with the word flowers and its number is plural. That's why I use it verb instead of was. Most of the flowers were yellow. Here, in very first sentence, we took singular verb. In the next, we took plural verb. Both the sentences started with the same indefinite pronoun. Next rule, it's like this. If the subject joined by and refers to the same person or thing, the verb usually is singular. If the subjects joined by and refer to the same person or thing, the verb used is singular. Once again, I will repeat. If the subjects joined by and refer to the same person or thing, the verb used is singular. For example, the teacher and poet. The teacher and poet is on a tour. Teacher and the poet is on a tour. Let's try to find out the subject of a sentence first. The subject of a sentence is teacher and poet. It is the teacher and poet joined by a coordinating conjunction. Teacher and poet. So they refer to a same person. That's why we use it is singular verb. Now the question arises, how can we conclude that the two subjects joined by a coordinating conjunction is referring to a particular person? Let me tell you. Second example, it will be clear. The teacher and the poet are on a tour. The teacher and the poet are on a tour. There is a vast difference between example 1 and example 2. It's because here two subjects joining by a coordinating conjunction refer to a same person, but here the two subjects joined by a coordinating conjunction refer to two different persons. That's why in very first sentence we took singular verb is, and in second sentence we took plural verb are. Now the question arises, how? Let me tell you. If you will focus on the example, you see here the teacher and poet. The teacher and poet. Article has been used only once. Now the second example, article is repeated. The teacher and the poet. Whenever the article is repeated, whenever two subjects are joined by coordinating conjunctions, and article is repeated, that means that we are not particularizing the same person. That it means it does not refer to a same person. Hope you are getting it. Rule number 6. Rule number 6 reads as two or more singular subjects joined by and take plural verb. Two or more singular subjects joined by and take a plural verb. For example, Junaid and Shahista have passed. Our second example, he and his brother are absent. In both the examples, we took plural verb. Why? It's because two different singular subjects are joined by a coordinating conjunction and. Junaid, a singular subject, Shaista, singular subject, joined by a coordinating conjunction and. That's why we took have, plural verb. The second sentence, he and his brother. He, singular subject, his brother, singular subject as well. We can say that's why they are joined with a coordinating conjunction. In that case, we took plural verb. One more thing. Now the question arises, what do we mean by a coordinating conjunction? A conjunction placed between words, phrases, clauses, or sentences of equal rank is called a coordinating conjunction. I will repeat, a conjunction placed between words, phrases, clauses, or sentences of equal rank. Example, but, and, for, so, etc., are termed as coordinating conjunctions. My dear students, it's all for today.